Why?
My recording, a little before there it is.
That is.
Okay, good evening and welcome to our Council and Committee of the Whole meeting for April 21st, 2026. Bienvenue à notre réunion de conseil pour le 21 avril. To begin this evening. Nobody has it. I will read the language acknowledgement. Thank you. As we meet today, I would like to take a moment to recognize the importance of the land on which we are gathered. The municipality of West Nipissing respectfully acknowledges that we are located on the homelands of the Anishinaabe peoples, on the traditional territory of the Nipissing, Temagami, and Dokis First Nations, covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty. We honor and recognize their historical connection to the land and value their significant contributions in shaping and strengthening our communities. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility towards reconciliation and improving our understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their culture. Number 2 on the agenda, any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. There's no addendum this evening, Madam President.
No, there was not.
Okay, so agenda please.
Is moved by Councillor Nicol and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held on April the 21st, 2026 be adopted as presented.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. I'll just make a note to our members who are attending online. I will do my best to catch your hands as we work through the agenda with questions or comments. If I'm not seeing you, please speak out and let me know, okay? Just because there are 3 of you there. So I'm going to do my best to manage the room and the 3 of you online as well. Thank you. This evening, we will be starting with delegations and petitions 4.1. And I am happy to welcome Audrey Gribbins from the Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic District School Board and Emily Samuel from the Near North District School Board to speak in regards to the Renature Foundation and the tree planting initiative. So please welcome to the podium, and I believe Madam Clerk has your presentation.
Thank you so much. You know, your time is precious, so I did bring a timer up here with me. We don't want to keep you all night. Are we okay to get started?
Just gonna share.
Thank you. So my name is Emily Samuel, and I'm assistant principal with the Near North District School Board. So instead of getting to support one school like many site-based principals do, I get to support all of our schools with a number of portfolios. And one of those is healthy schools, another one is safe schools, and another one is early years. And it's really a collection of those things that bring me here this evening.
And I'm Audrey Gribbins. I'm superintendent with the Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic District School Board, and I hold a number of portfolios, early years being one of them. And I do support, as Emily does, a family of schools, and Our Lady of Sorrows would be one of them.
So as you are aware in the package that you received, we're here tonight to talk to you about an opportunity that we have to partner with an organization called Renature. But before we talk to you about that partnership, we wanted to first explain sort of our thinking and why it's important for us. So on the next slide, you'll see a little bit about why we love outdoor learning. And outdoor learning provides us with opportunity for our students to really grow in a number of ways. And the pictures that are captured there, they're sort of layered, but as you can see, the students are engaging in a lot of different activities. This one was tapping a tree. Behind it, the pictures you can't see is a student taking a measurement of the temperature outside, and another one working with tools. And why we think this is so important is because what we're seeing in education right now, and most likely what you're seeing in society, is that students are disengaging from those experiential outdoor learning opportunities. Unfortunately, they're spending more and more time on screens and with cell phones. This is having a negative effect not only for our younger learners who are now presenting with fewer gross and fine motor skills, less oral language development when they're coming into kindergarten, but also for our teenagers who are spending a lot of time on social media, and it's leading to increased rates of depression and increased rates of anxiety. So we know that the impact of screens is really impacting our kids. The good news is that outdoor education has the reverse effect. Research shows that outdoor learning time, exploration, and really just any time spent outside can lower rates of depression, lower anxiety, as well as provide opportunities for students to really grow in those important ways, both academically and in their social, emotional. We know that outdoor learning also leads to increased creativity, increased problem solving, the ability to be resourceful, imaginative, and really to engage in the world in a different way. On the next slide, you'll see that experiential learning changes the way that we think about things. It makes learning occur in a very deep and meaningful way for our students. And that's probably true for you and your experiences. If you think about a time that you learned something in school, maybe it was through a textbook, but I'm guessing that the ones that you remember the most were the times that you had the opportunity to do something with your hands, to get involved with your whole body and your whole mind. And that's what experiential learning does for our students. So we've been trying to work, in fact, both of our school boards have been working very hard to provide additional experiential learning opportunities for our kids. This links directly with the kindergarten curriculum, which is sort of where some of our thinking started. We had our education, our teachers, I should say, and our early childhood educators work through programs like OWLS, which is through the Canadian Ecology Center. We had them work through certifications for school practitioner. We wanted to provide them with training on how to bring learning outside so that we could really benefit from all these positive things. So one of the things that we are coming up against when we think about experiential learning is those safe spaces for kids to grow and learn. So as many of you think about schools that you've seen in our area here or even in other municipalities, you'll know that schools are becoming more and more paved, I'll say, for lack of a better word, right? We are seeing less trees, less forested area, and more pavement. And this is something that Renature, the organization that we're partnering with, really would like to change. Over the next.
So first, like Emily said, both of our school boards are partnering with Renature to expand this approach to our school playgrounds. Some of our schools have begun this initiative on their own independently on a very smaller scale. This will allow us to expand it and have equity across all of our schools. So a little bit about Renature. It's a nonprofit organization that creates regenerative landscapes for schools and addressing mental health, climate change, and education equity. And their goal is for every school in Canada to have its own forest and outdoor learning space. And an educator will have what they need to support in order to teach students in outdoor areas. Next slide. So this is a sample design of what a potential schoolyard playground could look like. Obviously, it will look slightly different depending on what the school landscape looks like and what Renature has to work with. But each of the sites would have blackboard, they'll have curriculum cabinet, they'll have milled benches for students to sit on, maximum number of trees in the area. You'll notice that the little paved area is accessible for students who might have mobility issues. So this is just a sample of what potentially could be looking at. Renature will also try to outsource locally any materials and supplies that would be needed to construct the design of the playground. The next slide, please. So Renature also is on foregrounding principles so that every schoolyard has the landscape for the teaching. Every educator has the materials that they need in order to teach the students. And there is a mentor plan for the students and for the teachers. So they will be mentored over a 2-year period. And there's also opportunities for the plant facilities on how to work with the playground, keep it growing, keep it alive, and keep it regenerative. So those are the plans that we have with Renature.
And if we go to the next slide, because by now you're probably wondering, why are we here? So our ask of you this evening is to consider supporting us as we move forward in applying for the Growing Canada's Community Canopies grant through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And you can do that via resolution. So as many of you may already be familiar, this is a 50-50 matching grant. And so each municipality has the opportunity to apply for funds through this grant. And what Renature noticed as they embarked on this work, and again, as Audrey mentioned, their goal of bringing these spaces to all schoolyards across Canada, was that many municipalities are not taking advantage of the full amount of money available because of the matching component of that grant. And so Renature reached out to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and said, if there's a school board willing to work with us, would that be okay to access these funds? And they said it would be through resolution at a council. And so as we have there is no cost to the municipality. It is really just to pass a resolution expressing your, your ability to, or I'll say confidence in us to reach out and use the funds in this way to bring these living classrooms to the schools of West Nipissing. And on the next slide, you'll see just a little bit about what the next steps might be from a timeline perspective. This is the very beginning stages of this project. As you can imagine, it's got a bit of a long runway. Tonight, we're hoping to get that resolution of support from you. That will allow us to move forward with creating a fulsome project application, which includes a planting plan. And part of that information is also looking at where on school sites these forests could go, what kind of species would work here, because certainly perhaps, the forest, the species that would work best here may not be the same as, let's say, in Parry Sound and so on. So really looking at the natural environment, doing that research. Renature is helping us do that so that we can go ahead and get that approval through the Federation and then look to plant this time next year, so that September 2027, we would have these school classrooms ready to go. So that's it for us. Our contact information is there on the next slide, and we would be happy to take any questions you might have right now as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will open the floor to our members. Can we get back on screen, remember, for questions or comments? Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you were saying your 50-50 doesn't involve the municipality. It involves the grant program and the school board.
That's correct.
Huh.
And in fact, Renature wouldn't even have 50% of the cost burden to school boards entirely. They also have private donors that they're working with to offset the other 50%. And so for school boards, for us, it'll be depending, between $20,000 and $25,000 per school site, which when you think about what we're getting, which is truly like a pop-up forest, the trees that they plant are very mature. They plant over 50 of them, so that it's guaranteed. And as Audrey mentioned through the mentorship program, it's guaranteed that this forest will thrive. For that kind of investment for us as a school board, it was an opportunity we just couldn't turn down. Many of you probably know school equipment isn't covered through funding provided by the Ministry of Education. And so schools have to fundraise for that equipment, and it's extremely expensive, and then installation and everything else. So when this opportunity came forward, and it aligns so beautifully with the experiential learning that we're really trying to bring to our boards, we just couldn't help but give it a go and come and speak to you about it tonight.
It's a very good, very nice program to work with. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Rivard.
I did through. Yeah, I just think this is pretty neat, and it's kind of cool how it would at the same time add green space to our community, not just playgrounds, right? It's kind of the same thing everywhere, maybe a basketball court and a play structure. So it'd kind of be neat to have this type of green space in the community too. So I like the idea. It's pretty neat.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Questions, comments, Councillor Restool?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And just a question, going back to the start of your presentation where you mentioned that there's a lot of green space that was taken out and a lot of pavement that replaced it. I don't know if it's a fair question, but just curious if this request meets the support or mandate from your school boards. Just given some of the actions that have taken place, it seems like this is great initiative for sure. My wife's a school teacher and I see the benefits for the young student learners for sure. Just if you had any comments on the support from the school board towards this initiative.
Sure. Yes, in your package, you will notice that our directors of education have supported this initiative. So before we could move, we did have to get approval and support from our school boards in order to move forward. And I'm sure it would be the same for
That's
Emily.
right. The other thing that's sort of exciting too is the only other school board in Ontario who started this project is Renfrew. And so they began this process this time last year. And so they are 1 year ahead of us. But then otherwise, you know, we're sort of pioneers in this. And I think that's really exciting. I think that people who choose to live in West Nipissing and in the north in general already understand the value of trees and plants and time outside. And so I think it's a really bit of an easier sell for us in some ways that way, because you know, in many ways we're preaching to the choir. And to your point too, Mr. Restool, about the education benefits for, you know, that teachers see, that's what we hear. And Renature has a lot of interesting statistics around, you know, decreased conflict among kids, increased staff attendance, and so on when these learning spaces are available.
And I think we're also in a unique situation because we are coterminous boards, but we're also collaborating together with Renature to provide equity amongst our schools in each of the communities that we have schools that will have them.
So thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Petter.
I like the idea. School in Verner, they do, every once in a while, go out in the bush with the kids, snowshoeing. I like the idea of the maple bucket there. That would be the perfect setup for a schoolyard to go from A to Z, produce the syrup. But you mentioned that you have maybe a contractor or somebody that would supply the trees.
I believe Renature would, once we get the resolution, Renature kind of spearheads the project. And then, like I said, they would reach out to locally to see what they could do locally. And then obviously they would have certain places where they've already done it in Renfrew where they are securing supplies. But they did indicate that if they could source locally, they would. So they will do all that research.
Yeah, because it's gonna be an expensive proposition to transplant a big live tree. If you can get somebody like, for example, like Mula Lumber or something, would be a lot cheaper than if you go to a consultant or whatever. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll close off. I think this is a fabulous idea. I always love opportunities where we can be on the cutting edge of implementing new programs. It really aligns with the work that council and municipality and the school boards in partnership have been doing with the Planet Youth initiatives. And I do just want to acknowledge while you're both here, the tremendous support that all of the local school boards have given in the different things that we're doing with Planet Youth, and it's such a great tie-in with that as well. The site location for this is going to be at the Northern and École Secondaire Publique Nipissing West campus?
So it'll actually be at each school site.
Really? Okay,
So Our Lady of Sorrows.
okay. And at Northern.
And for us, it would be at Whitewoods on the property. Now that property, whether it's Northerns or Whitewoods, but it'll be on that near north property for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. That's great to know. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a great initiative, and I think it's something exciting. You know, I want to say on top of the Planet Youth work that the school boards have been so gracious as well with making spaces available for community groups, and there really is an important role for schools to play in community building, as you are all aware, and I just want to acknowledge that the collaboration and cooperation between all the schools and the municipality and different user groups is really, really appreciated. As for our general process, the resolution will actually come back to council at our next meeting, which will be May 5th. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay. I just kind of pulled that one out. We'll be able to provide something, you know, given the support of council after that. But I think from around the table, you've heard that, you know, it really is a wonderful initiative. So thank you very much for bringing that to the community. And I really appreciate the initiative from the boards to look for opportunities.
Thank you so
for your time.
much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is Committee of the Whole. And our first item is under Social Services and Health Committee. Councillor Restool, would you prefer to chair? Would you prefer me to chair for you?
I think I'm okay with the item. Maybe if I don't see anybody who have their hand up in the room, I can happily get to them with questions.
Absolutely. So I'll pass the chair to Councillor Restool. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as was mentioned, Social Services and Health Committee, we have one item on the agenda, and that's the Environmental Health Summer Beach Program that's put on by the health unit in our district here. So within your packages, you had a PowerPoint that was put together by Brent Allen, who's the acting program manager for environmental health at the health unit. And essentially what it is the cessation of the testing program for water at our public beaches that we have, and not just within West Nipissing, but across the whole Nipissing district as well. As you saw in the information package, there's approximately 60 public beaches across the district that the health unit was providing random water sample testing for. And even at that, there's a challenge with the amount of support that they have from HR support and staff on the ground. And regularly in a season, there'd be about 28 to 31 beaches that were sampled. So probably around 50% of the beaches were sampled regularly. And the other 50 didn't have regular sampling under the previous program. It's something that they are rolling out this year or clawing back, I guess, this summer. And part of it, as was outlined in the program information that you received, part is through cost of the program, part is through the timing of the program. Everything needed to be couriered from the different locations within Nipissing District back to the health unit to perform the testing and then to go back out to the locations. And it really wasn't very effective. And that's not for any lack of effort for staff, just the timing and the system, how it worked, didn't provide quick results back to the beach areas. And, you know, for example, if they'd come out on a Tuesday and take a sample, they might not get the results until Thursday or Friday, get back out to the beach. And with the changing weather conditions, because a lot of public beach situations are based on weather, bird population in the area, that may have changed over the 2 or 3 days, and there might not be a risk anymore. So there was a lot of research by staff gone into this decision that was brought to the board at the health unit. And just another factor as well, like I mentioned, was cost. And we know that we provide, funds to the health unit to provide services for West Nipissing. And, the belt's tightening everywhere. And this was one of the programs that they thought, due to the, 50% roughly coverage, the longer wait times in terms of getting results, and the effectiveness of those two factors, that this was something that from the budget perspective, it may be best to discontinue for this current year. What they are going to continue to do, again, back to your package, was to make sure that they do have, if there's complaint-based requests that come forward, that they will make those testing situations happen. And something that they're going to be updating as well is the beach signage at all of the public beaches across Nipissing District. And one of the messages that I did bring to that table was to ensure that the signage that does come to the beaches in West Nipissing are bilingual. We are a bilingual community, and something that's unique from some of the areas across the district. And I was assured that the new signage that comes in this summer will be bilingual. One of the comments that was made around the table there was to get current updates on the issue, to have a QR code on some of the signage. And I'm not the best tech person, but a couple of the people around the table commented that it seems like a lot of areas now, I'll call them fake QR codes, are placed over what the real ones should be, and it just causes issues. So rather than move into that area, they're going to continue to have the website information for the health unit if there are updates that people would like to receive, or get the latest online information. But fresh signage will be coming to all of our beaches across West Nipissing bilingually. And that's pretty much a little bit longer than usual update on this agenda item, but happy to answer any questions, any concerns we might have around our table. And if needed, I can bring them back to the health unit table as well. See my colleagues online. I don't see any hands. I'm not sure if there's any raised in council chambers.
Rolly.
Okay, Rolly, Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you. Chair, my question is, like you're saying, we no longer will have the monitoring that the way they were doing it before. Would there be maybe a suggestion to them that they try to figure out, because yes, the technology that they were doing, like you said, they would test one day and they'd have the results maybe 2-3 days or after the weekend. So it was not a very good, but could there be a better system implemented for the monitoring? Because it's very, very important to follow up with the water, the activities, because some places you go swim and kids get rash. So, like there could be a way of monitoring and warning people because of like the activity with the beavers and the otters and in the water and the birds. It changes on a daily basis. So if they could implement another way of doing it to make it safer for the community.
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
definitely bring that back, Councillor Larrabee. And I know part of their signage as well is best practices for safety for individuals, toweling off and being aware of, like you mentioned, animal presence, bird presence, when it's a little bit more active with, waves and wind and that kind of stuff can stir up some of the, sediment within the waters. But there will be a best practices included in the signage as well, to do the best that they can from a remote distance to share with those who might be using these our public beaches across West Nipissing. But I can bring that thought back to the table there as well, Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you.
I think I saw Madam Mayor with her hand raised as well.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. My first question is actually for our CAO. The email that's included in part of the program, in the agenda package, states that we're required to complete the beach program needs assessment survey by April 24th. Has that been completed by staff at this point?
It is not, no.
Okay, but that will be done in the next couple of
That
days.
will be done, and there's also a caveat to take down existing signage, so whenever those areas clear, and I imagine will be soon in the next little while, hopefully, once, unless there's some significant flooding in those areas, we'll look to also take down any existing signs and communicate with the health unit and take further direction from that.
And where do we consider public beaches? Obviously Clear Lake and then the Sturgeon Falls Beach at the top of Main Street. Are there any other areas that we consider to be public beaches, like for the in the context of this particular program?
There's a launch, a dock, and a small beach area at the or Saint Jean, sorry.
Oh, St. John Lake.
I think there appears to be a list anyways from the North Bay
Those are
Very Sun or health unit, so we'll just rely upon that list to.
And we don't include the museum as a swimming area. This is the rivers, okay. Okay, and then my other question is probably to you, Mr. Chair. The signage or the sample signage that's been provided has a 1-800 number. And you said that there will also likely be a website included on the signage. So this is just a sample at this point. That's not final.
Yeah, it's in small, I don't know how large these signs are gonna be, but hopefully they're large enough that they get people's attention. Around the bottom on the right-hand side, the health unit website is there as well. It is in fairly small font on the sample that we received.
Okay.
But like I mentioned, the sample that we received in our package is English only, but I was assured that our signs that come into West Nipissing are going to be bilingual. And that's maybe another recommendation to make is just to make the website location or address a little bit larger, just so it's easily identified by those who may want to seek more information related to it.
And so it states here that the health unit will still be involved in complaint-based investigations. So the 1-800 number and the website that are being provided would be the means by which residents could address concerns if they came home from the beach and they were sick or had swimmer's itch or they wanted to report something. That would be done directly through the health unit.
Exactly. Yeah, and probably even right at the site as well, if there was something that was identified by individuals who are using the public beaches, they'd be able to contact the health unit directly through those two means.
Okay. And so we'll probably just want to update our public facing customer service staff, if calls come in regarding beaches where that we don't handle those complaints directly. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome. Any other questions from members of council? Councillor Rivard?
Thank you, Councillor Russell. I guess my question is, I see that the reasoning is like staff would be stretched thin and all that to do all these samples. Is there any sort of plan for them to ramp up another activity or do other inspections elsewhere? Because I do know that there still are a lot of health inspectors at the health unit. So I'm just wondering, is it just removing a service but not looking to redeploy elsewhere or to maybe do more food inspections or something along those lines? I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Based on budget and staff.
Excuse me. I know, like I mentioned, there's challenges and we're aware of challenges like that as well with budget limitations and things getting stretched a little bit thinner than we'd like. I know with the health unit as well, experiencing challenges in that sense. I made a note here and I can bring that question back as well. I know they're just trying to like we do around our table, right? We try to maintain as much as we can. We try to provide the best service we can to our constituents here. It's the same approach that we encourage around the board table at the health unit as well. Based on the challenges from budgets, this is one of the areas where they thought scaling back a little bit and likely to focus on other areas as well with the inspectors and the health staff that they have, that this was a preferred approach, I guess. Nothing's lessening services or the amount of services is never the outcome that we want. But when you are faced with challenges from a dollars and cents perspective, you try to see what could be tolerated in terms of service provision and making sure that other areas don't suffer at the same time. So I can take that question back, Councillor Rivard, and we can follow up with an email to all of council.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think I just also want to add that I think it's good that they're removing something that was potentially not very like fruitful to the public anyways, if we weren't getting samples back in time or whatnot. So I'm all for it if they're redeploying or using it, those resources everywhere. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that was the goal. Like we mentioned, we touched on, half the beaches in the district weren't receiving regular samples at any rate. So, if we can still keep the service based on, I don't want to say a complaints-based system, but a concern-based system where they'll still provide the service, maybe just not on that regular monthly testing cycle. So it's not completely being cut out. It's just more focused on issues identified and follow-up done by the health unit when those issues are raised.
I have my hand up again, Councillor Restool.
I can see you now. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, hear you. Has the budget from the health unit been approved at this point at the board level?
Yes.
And we have our final numbers? And do we know what the cut of this program, like what was the total savings like across the health unit budget on this particular program?
I'd have to go back and get that specific info. I wouldn't want to give false info.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in the same information as Councillor Rivard, where it's like, how much was saved and is it all being used for like budget savings, or is some is budget savings and some is being reallocated to other programs? So, I'd just like to kind of be clear on, how it impacts us specifically.
Do that. I know there's challenges, and I can look for this info as well to bring back to our council table here as well. But the province, there is a cost sharing with the province and municipalities contributions, and there are some challenges with the province lessening their amount that they're providing, and it's putting strain on our contribution from the municipal side of the ledger. So that factors into this as well, but I definitely have a number of notes here, and I can, we actually have a meeting timely tomorrow evening with the health unit, so I can speak before the meeting with the medical officer of health and get those answers, and I can follow up with an email to each of you.
Councillor Pellerin?
Go ahead,
Councillor Pellerin.
Thank you. MOE used to do a lot of sampling. But since quite a few years now, they stopped, and I was always supposed to go meet with them. They wanted to restart the sampling. I just wonder, the sampling that the health unit does, is it the same sampling as the MOE would do?
That might predate my time on the board there, Councillor Pellerin, but I can again note it as a question. I'm not sure when the switch occurred, but I know, as we all know, the province in different areas download where they can services to municipalities, to different boards. Health unit, DSAB, lots of different examples there, but I can follow up with that question as well.
At the time, I was told they were doing more sampling, like in the incoming waters from different creeks and stuff like this, due to the increase of municipal drains. So, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they did, again, predating my time there, I'm not sure if they did the beach sampling as well, or if it was limited to other areas of the waterways, but I can follow up for sure.
Okay, I see no more. Councillor Restool.
Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, appreciate all the questions from council, lots of good comments and questions. I will follow up, and I will reach out to each of you by email with responses to those.
Okay, thank you very much. Next we'll move on to Public Works Committee. Councillor Gagne, it's not here with us this evening. Any volunteers to chair? Councillor Pellerin, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I'll pass it on to Mr. Pidal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll recall, there was a request for some additional winter road maintenance on Pike Lake Road, which prompted council to direct staff to do a bit of an analysis with respect to, okay, where else? What other areas do we have across the municipality that is a seasonal road that is not maintained via winter control? So our Director of Infrastructure was kind enough to provide you with a fairly concise report here with regards to what the current situation is on that front, so that this could help, I will suppose, inform any future decision with regards to Pike Lake Road or any other similar, I will say, seasonal roads with regards to some winter maintenance. Now, just give you the caveat before I do pass it along to my colleague for further discussion and potential questions, that this is sort of a phase one of a two-phase approach where we'll be bringing some additional information with regards to other private roads and how we're managing those from an overall basis that could, continue to help inform this particular subject and have some effect on how a decision and how we can have the discussion with regards to this decision. So I'll pass it back to you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sure our colleague will have more information to discuss.
Any more input from the Hemmings or?
I believe Mr. Coulon summed it up quite nicely. So, I mean, as you can see from looking at the memo, we have quite a few roads that are seasonal and we don't maintain during the winter. And at this point, we don't have staff or budget to increase on any of these roads. If it's something the council wants to look at in the future, we absolutely can. And yeah, as he said, we will be bringing back more information on private roads that have winter maintenance agreements and other roads that we're maintaining that maybe have very few homes or only one home on them, and kind of a list of those areas as well. So if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Levy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember when this subject was brought up, there was some information about there's summer maintenance on the road. So that road is in fair shape, pretty good shape because of the summer maintenance, grade it and crown it and whatnot. So, and like we said this winter, it would have been a challenge to open it with the amount of snow that we had this winter. But with that being said, if that road is maintained on a regular basis like any other road, it would have been nothing to open it. And you were quite right to say that you're adding about 30 minutes of work time for the machine to go at one end for 7 kilometers and come back. That's approximately the time that it takes. And since the municipality clears the road, we have 24 hours to clear all the roads once the storm is done. And we do it, like we were told, in about 12 hours. So we got 12 hours of kind of grace that, so we would have time. Saying if we were 22, 23 hours of plowing nonstop and we had 24 hours, then I'd say, well, that's cutting it. But since it's taken us 12 hours to do all our roads, I don't think that would be a problem to maintain that road. And there's 9 residents on that road that would benefit from it.
Are you speaking, sorry, just of Pike Lake Road or this entire list of roads?
No, Pike Lake Road, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. See, the approximate distance furthest seasonal maintenance is 7 kilometers. So 7 kilometers, sometimes it doesn't take half an hour, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt, half an hour to do that stretch. We're still within our time of maintaining our roads with the provincial regulation. So I don't see why we wouldn't be doing it. Plus, this road was maintained prior to amalgamation. Prior to amalgamation, it was when Field was alone. They were maintaining it. When amalgamation came in, it kind of slipped away, and so I would be in favor of it to introduce that road to be maintained again. There's also a business on that road, which is a sugar shack or something. So it would be beneficial to the resident and also the one business that's there. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's a question, it's a subject for another meeting.
No, that's what we're,
No, the decision was already made on Pike Lake Road, was it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the discussion of Pike Lake Road really prompted this research to be done, Counselor, in good faith here. This would be if we were to approve further road maintenance, winter road maintenance along Pike Lake, sorry, not Prangs Lane. I keep getting those two mixed up, but this, we're talking about Pike Lake Road.
Yeah.
This would be the affect is that we would have to then review all of these other roads that we do not provide seasonal service to. So that is really, the report was put together, by Ms. Henning and her group, so that to give us really a good global picture of, okay, if we were looking to approve Pike Lake Road in particular.
Yeah.
Then we would be subject to really opening up the book on all of these other roads that are not maintained seasonally. So that was just brought forward so that you could have that proper discussion to have to be better informed with respect to what the potential affect of
Opening
I
one
would
up.
say approving, further Road maintenance down Pike Lake Road beyond what we already do now. Where every residence down that road is seasonal. There are no full-time residents down those, and you can see from Miss Henning's sort of right up here, at those numbers sort of, where those numbers sit at, what that access would mean for seasonal residents. So,
but at this moment, if I may, at this moment, we have one road that was asked to be plowed. The other ones were not asked. The council asked to have an overview at the time when Pike Lake was brought up. How many roads are not maintained? So this, I could see that, but the request was from Pike Lake Road. Okay, so that's why I'm answering on Pike Lake, because the subject road was Pike Lake at the time. So that's why I'm saying that, like the other ones, we could do roads by roads as we move forward, because the other ones didn't ask for plowing, not to my knowledge, but Pike Lake did come to our attention. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Not sure which one of you can answer this question, but this memo was more for information purposes until the rest of the roads come back to us, correct?
Yes.
So we're not really deciding anything tonight. We're
No.
gonna get all of the information and go from there.
that's correct. It's just provided for your information and for discussion if you wanted to clarify any issues or if you wanted further information with respect to this report, if this was complete enough for council, or if there were any further questions or any, I will say, further research that you wish us to complete so that we can bring this back when we are having the discussion about Pike Lake Road.
Thank you. Can I add a follow-up question if that's okay? For Pike Lake, it's technically an occasional winter maintenance road, right?
Yes, it's our only occasional winter maintenance road.
So would we make a subheading for that, or is it still within the same chart?
We, in our winter level of service, it is under its own special area. It's a unique road to West Nipissing.
And then, can I continue? Is that okay? So more of a 4-point question, I'm sorry. I guess this is not necessarily for tonight, but moving forward at the next meeting when we're discussing this, is that when we can request more details on the clear plan of ensuring the occasional seasonal maintenance details, or would tonight be the opportunity? Does that make sense?
So like a plan moving forward for additional seasonal, because right now we plow one Pike Lake once per season. If
Or
we can
just
get it.
the parameters on what triggers the plowing. Is it for snowfall or is it based on service requests? Is it as other roads are done and there's time? Just so they know what to expect. Or is that for, we can do it at a different meeting, just,
I can look into what triggers that. I believe it's probably all of the above
okay.
that triggers the plowing there. And I know that we have had some serious issues trying to plow it in the past where shoes have got stuck and it's become a much larger ordeal than a simple go in and plow. It's taken several days and we've risked damaged equipment and that sort of thing. So it is a challenge when we go do that once a year plow.
I will wait till we get the rest of the reports to go from there, I think, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other question or any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just looking back at your memo when we first discussed White Lake Road. And I'm going to assume that the italicized version is right out of the policy. Like the objective will be to deploy resources once or twice per year. That's the wording right in the policy. Yeah, so I think through you, Mr. Chair, what Councillor Nichols probably referring to is that it's a little ambiguous. And policy is always easier to follow if we're really clear on the language, and then the expectation of the residents is really clear, and what the expected service level is from our public works is also really clear. So, perhaps it's part of it is looking at that policy and just making sure that the wording is clear on when and if, what does trigger that, what the goal is. And that way, perhaps we're able to serve a little better. The report is great. So all of these other roads are actually identified in our service level policy.
Seasonal, unmaintained, they're not maintained in winter.
Okay, and so when we talk about seasonal resident or seasonal maintenance, so from the first snowfall, we don't go until the ice melts and we're ready to run the grader over it in the spring grading. I want to say routine.
That's correct.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Delaby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, there's a policy, I guess we're gonna be describing the policy of 1 or twice a year. But that's when we run into some problems. If it's not maintained regularly at every snowfall, you get a big dump of snow and then you lose it. You can't go because then it's gonna damage the equipment. You can't get through too much snow. So if you do it like you do every road, you just keep going, you do that 7-click, come back, your road is open and it's not hard on the equipment. And as the road freezes, it'll even get easier to plow. So my point is, we should, maintaining it once or twice a year doesn't cut it. Because you're pushing too much snow at one time and then you damage your equipment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to see the policies in place. Because I remember way back our road when it came out. There was certain criteria that you had to meet for them to plow your road. It's funny for me to hear this, that you grade the road in the summertime once, but you don't need the snow. And that us is just the opposite. And we never asked for the grader, because I do it myself, but they opened the road, the snow, so that's nice. So I'm just wondering what the policy is exactly, how to trigger if we're gonna accept that private road.
But I think that's the point, is that the roads that are listed here are actually municipally owned roads. So they're municipally owned roads that are identified in our policy as seasonal maintenance only. Whereas your road and the other roads that we address with our winter maintenance agreements are private roads that have specific agreements with the municipality. So they're kind of two different beasts.
Okay.
These are actually, the roads listed here are actually municipal roads.
All right, okay, thank you.
Yes, that's correct. And that will be coming in my next memo.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, so yeah, I just wanted to clarify that comments regarding that 12-hour, 24-hour timeline. I believe we have 24 hours to plow roads, but that doesn't mean we have staff to plow for 24 straight hours.
Correct.
Because even just to do within the first 12 hours, staff are working overtime and it's using all of our resources and our machinery and our staff, right? So I believe that's the idea. Like we do have 24 hours to plow the roads, but in order to plow for 24 straight hours, we would probably have to
We can.
nearly double our
Yes.
staff complement and get a lot more machinery. So like, I don't think we can just, go plow for 16 hours in a day unless workers.
No, there's laws against
Yeah,
it.
okay, I was gonna say unless workers didn't really need to go home that day or not there, but
13 hours.
yeah, but yeah, it's just difficult, right? So we can't necessarily plow for.
They function it out, talking to the pool.
And I can certainly attest to in a winter like we've just had where our staff has had almost 0 days off the entire winter. So adding additional, like, and it may seem like only, 30 minutes, but when you have a group of staff that has no time off for an entire winter, that's not something that we can accommodate with the level of staff that we have right now and the equipment that we have right now. So if something council wants to increase the budget for, then by all means, we can look at that at budget time, but as of right now, we don't have the budget or the staff resources to accommodate this.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, Councilor Nichols.
Thank you for your last question, I promise. When can we expect the rest of the reports to come? No pressure, because I know you have a lot on the go.
Hopefully in the next 2 months.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
Okay. Back to Marion.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Patarana, for filling in there. I appreciate it. Next, we'll move to 5.3, Community Services Committee, and I'll pass the floor to our chair, Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So first on the list for tonight is the volunteer recognition policy. We spoke a month ago regarding bringing something forward, and Councillor Nicol and I met with Mr. Vane and Renee, and we discussed, and that policy covers pretty much everything as you guys, so I'll just open up the floor for any questions or comments unless Mr. Poulain has something to add.
No.
Another? Oh,
Yeah, I just, so the timelines are like for years moving forward, is it gonna line up with actually doing the event during this week, which is National Volunteer Appreciation Week? Did I get the name of that right? Big thank you to all the volunteers in the community in recognition of that. So going forward, the event will be held during this week. And this year, your staff is just going to amend the timelines in order to fit to that June date, but you don't need any kind of direction on that for this year.
Yeah, we're just going to get the timelines required to be able to be ready for the June 25th event for this year. And then moving forward, we'll follow exactly.
yeah, and regarding timelines, I just want to point out staff had a great idea of like you just set the timeline. So in every year, it should be easy for volunteer groups. It becomes second nature to nominate at that time of the year. Everyone will be aware. So the first couple of years may be a little more difficult, but afterwards it should just be natural.
And I do like the fact that the nomination period opens right after the new year, because we're all kind of coming down from the sugar and gift and family high, and it gives us something to look forward to. So the timing's actually pretty nice. It's a good way to start a new year, is thinking about the people in the community that make such a difference. Thank you.
Conseiller Farrin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had one suggestion. In addition to recognizing at least one youth aged 17 and under, I was thinking we could also recognize at least one senior, maybe in an age group of, I'm thinking 75 or over, because their contribution is quite valuable to the community. And, there are people in their 90s that are still volunteering. And that's great. And I think it'd be nice to single out that age group also.
Nice, thank you. May have just been assuming too that we would get some seniors today, Madam Mayor.
But I support that. I think it's a way to spread it out, so.
Yeah. So should we show of hands of that, or is that fairly, okay, so who would be in support that we add not only minimum of one youth, but one senior? We change the age, typically it's 65 though, right?
We put that on the flag.
Let's hold up.
Okay.
It's like I want to
75?
recognize like somebody who's like. 90. No, I think 70 or
No, let's go with
75.
what Counselor suggested. Sorry.
So,
Counselor.
are you suggesting we put a plaque or something for them to recognize them?
No, so the recognition criteria is in the policy. It would be, there's a volunteer spotlight. It's shown in,
The policy highlights exactly what's going to be done, if I may, Mr. Chair.
yeah, you know.
We're going to recognize each nominee that are selected monthly through a volunteer spotlight on our website, social media sites. And the draft policy also states that we will hand over a recognition certificate to each volunteer being recognized each year.
At an event.
And an event.
At an event.
Perfect.
And then the one thing, I don't know if it would have, just my suggestion.
Were you doing some hands?
Lambda, yeah.
Well, you had started with the show of hands for George.
Oh. Sorry, Counselor. So, we'd be in support of Counselor. Idea of also including a minimum of one senior above the age of 75. 75 or above. Okay. Thank you. So now, I was just wondering, should we add in there in the policy something about requiring, asking for consent to put them on our social media page before the volunteers, or would that just be given we will ask no matter what before putting them on our website? Or because I imagine some volunteers may not want that aspect, they'll be fine with receiving the certificate, but maybe not being on the website.
So person being nominated has to sign the nomination form as well. So they are acknowledging, we'll have some language in there that if they are selected, that we can put their profile on our spotlight.
Okay, thank you. This just goes the resolution further, or should we show of hands now to accept the policy?
I would do just as an informal,
It'll come back.
but it'll come back for a formal resolution.
It'll come back as amended, so.
At the next meeting.
At the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, and I want to thank staff for working on that. We'll move towards the flag policy review. I believe Councillor Favin brought this up at the last meeting. I'll just open up the floor. Councillor Favin, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, not to say anything more than I said the last time, which was that we'd had discussions as to whether we should make exceptions to the flag policy. And in this case, the discussion was about allowing the pride flag to fly for a month instead of a week. And I would prefer that we do that through amending the flag policy for all for any organization, rather than making exceptions such as this one.
So would you be proposing?
If we're proposing, yeah, I would propose in this case that we amend the flag policy to allow up to 1 month instead of 1 week.
Thank you. And then, so any comments regarding this proposal? Thanks. Councillor Favin.
Moi, je serais curieux, ouais, comment qu'il y a de demandes des organisations qui veulent mettre un flag sur la peau?
La Légion.
I may, Mr. Chair, we've had in the past requests from Truth and Reconciliation to autism awareness. Last year, we did have our local Legion for banners, not necessarily a flag, a commemorative flag, but we have had requests for banners. So those are the type of requests that have come to mind. Pride is another one. la célébration de la francophonie is another one. So we periodically do get these types of requests.
So, si on move ça à un mois, on commence à manquer de temps? C'est-tu spécifique comme timeline quand que le monde demande pour flyer sur la pause? C'est-tu plus l'été? C'est-tu tombe un mois? Ben là, ça réduit les. Tu sais ce que je veux dire?
Oui, ça varie de demande à demande. Ça varie. C'est difficile à savoir les demandes qu'on va avoir dans le futur. Le comité de Pride, à ma connaissance, c'est l'organisation qui demande un mois. L'année passée, on a eu les bannières sur le long de la Front et la King de la Légion pour un mois aussi. Alors, ces deux groupes-là, c'est un mois, je me souviens bien. Les autres demandes ne sont pas pour un mois, sont plus pour soit une journée en reconnaissance ou une semaine.
Awesome. Mary?
In the case that we extend the timeline in, in 3.3.4 to 1 month, how would we approach if we had conflicting requests? So if, somebody requested for a month, had another, another request for during that time period. It's just something to consider. I don't know that we've seen it, but if we did, how do we make space for everybody?
Councillor Fana?
First come, first serve?
Conseiller David.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm okay with the way it is now, the way it's formatted, for a week. Not anything personal. We have the Legion, we have people that went to war, they paid with their lives, and we honor it for 1 day. And I'm not saying, like, I'm saying we're honoring or we're showing respect for a week. I think it should be the other way around. We should be giving the veterans a month but they're not asking for that. They're asking for 1 day. So, I'm okay with the law the way it states. 1 week for the flag. We all agreed to it. Thank you.
So I think the request is just everything in general, not necessarily one group. Yeah. Councillor Vestal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I tend to agree with Councillor Fena here. It's a policy, and if we're going to keep getting requests coming back to make exceptions to what we've agreed to, I know different organizations have different time lengths for their recognition that they have, and these aren't necessarily West Nipissing centric organizations. Lots of these are, provincial, national organizations in what they do. And I think if we have it adjusted to a month, it still leaves discretion to us or to whoever's sitting in these seats at council to determine the amount of time that we're agreeing to. And I know I've heard the comments as well with respect to our veterans, and we have Remembrance Day. That's what they've identified, and they would identify across the country as well. It doesn't mean that we have to limit it to a day. If we have a request to fly the flag for a week, that'll come back to us and we can make that determination. So I think having the flexibility within the policy is important. And I made this comment back when Councillor Fena first raised it to take another look at this. We developed this policy. We've had a chance to, let it be there and see how it works. There's nothing wrong with taking another look at it after time period and say, does it meet the needs? Does it meet the requests that are coming in? And if we can adjust it accordingly to make it fit our community to the best that it can. Certainly, I don't have any objections to changing that. It doesn't say that we have to put flags up for a month. It says that the option's there, and it gives some flexibility to us as elected leaders to make those decisions as the requests come across our desk. And just to the earlier comment about multiple requests, we have that there as well in 334 V, where that if there are multiple requests that come in, council has the opportunity to determine priority for conflicting flag raising. So we have that option built in there as well as it is, but I definitely support making that change to give us flexibility here. And like I said, it's not to say that everything now becomes 1 month mandatory, but it gives the opportunity for us to have that flexibility in making decisions. Thank you.
Well, by a show of hands, if somebody has any more comments, who would be in agreement with Councillor Fayad's proposal that we amend the 1 week limit to a 1 month limit, and it's still at the discretion of council? That's sorry?
I have other questions in regards to the flag policy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that has passed.
Yeah.
Just in case people online didn't see that. There were 5 votes, so yeah, we'll move on to something else, Madam Mayor.
Certainly. So, because if we're fixing the policy, then maybe we should look at some of the other places where we did graciously make exceptions to the policy. So one is that 3.3.3 says community flags will be flown on a dedicated flagpole at 225 Holditch Street. But it doesn't mention any other municipal buildings or Minnehaha Bay or anything like that. And I didn't know whether there is any appetite to specify further or whether we just look at those on a case-by-case basis.
Like to make a proposal.
No, I just that's an inconsistency where like in the policy it says the flags are to be flown here, but we've made adjustments. So do we want to adjust the policy? Or we just want to deal with requests on a one-off basis?
Councillor Restel may have an idea.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the mayor in terms of identifying other locations, and I think I might have mentioned this when we spoke about this previously, but the opportunity to provide, I don't know what you call them, flag holders or things affixed to municipal buildings across all of the communities in West Nipissing, so that we can provide equal supports across all of those. And I think it was mentioned that in one of the communities there was a bracket that was installed that could support a flag. I know it's a budget issue. I don't think it's considerable cost for a bracket. I could be wrong, but I think it's probably fairly reasonable. And I know that's not necessarily something that goes in to policy, but I think I'd be supportive of having brackets installed in all of our communities so that when we do have events, we can be equal in supporting those organizations or those groups across the entire municipality. And then if we want to identify that in text within, as we have for 225 Holditch Street, we can add that as well, just to provide clarity.
Thank you. Nate, I would say.
No, I'll just bring something up after you've dealt with this section of the policy.
Do you happen to have any suggestions to how we can open it up for more areas?
Well, I think we already have, because of last year, we already installed some wall-mounted secondary poles on Cache Bay,
Field.
the Verner Municipal Building, the Field Library Building,
I believe Manette.
And then we have a second flagpole, like proper flagpole in River Valley. But we do not have a secondary location in Living. North Manetville, I'm not sure whether the community center there got a wall-mounted bracket.
I believe so.
And so really only Living is missing out of that, and the only asset we have there is the fire station
The outdoor rig.
and the outdoor rig.
Sorry, would it be reasonable to just remove that clause that says it can only be flown at town hall? And then it leaves it up to discretion? Is that kind of what we're going at here? If there's other areas that have flags, otherwise, how would you word it?
But the reason to have a commemorative flagpole, council directed us to put a second pole here was specifically for that, to recognize different organizations, different celebrations or reasons, so that we can have a commemorative flagpole, one location, town hall, and that would fly every cause or every request. But again, it's to council to direct us to either install new flagpoles or use existing brackets or poles.
Councilor St. Louis?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I don't understand. We've gone through this before. Every areas have that, so they won't be flags, but they'll be banners, or there'll be little flags that we're gonna add to the specific buildings. So, I mean, we've talked about this before. We've already agreed on this before. My thought was we were talking about this just specifically about changing it to a month instead of a week, if you will. But we have discussed it in the past on several occasions that every area has already those, not banners, but those little poles on buildings. So, and the only area that we weren't sure was North Manetville and Living, and we had talked about the outdoor ring. So I'm sorry, I just feel we're repeating ourselves often. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand that. For me, I guess that came up where it does say in there only at town hall, but it looks like we are being inconsistent, as the mayor pointed out, that we are allowing it elsewhere. So how would we fix an inconsistency? Or do we just, it's okay, we'll deal with it on a case by case basis? Seeing no suggestions, I say we deal with it on a case by case basis and we can move along.
So just to clarify, Mr. Chair, should we add that language to the policy?
That we do have.
That requests submitted to fly flags that are not on the 225 Holditch commemorative flagpole shall be considered by council on a case by case basis?
Yeah, that's kind of a suggestion I guess we were looking at, and then that removes a inconsistency where we're just kind of not following the policy that's been put in place. I think that's where you were getting at, not there.
Yeah, I just want to be consistent. Like the policy says, thing that we're doing something else, so.
Thank you. So that ends the flag policy.
No, I was just going to bring a section of the policy, if I'm.
Oh, yeah, sorry about
that I think council should address. 3.6 deals with banners. The policy says banners shall be displayed on designated light poles on a seasonal or special occasion basis for municipal branding purposes. At the discretion of the municipality of West Nipissing, no group or organization shall request the flying of community flags on these light poles. Council's made an exception for Pride. And I know there are other requests coming forth.
Well, we had an exception last year in regards to the Legion as well.
Correct.
With their banner.
Exception to the Legion. I know there are probably light pole requests coming in for Cache Bay. I believe the CCL have indicated that they would like to have banners in Living on light poles or hydro poles and to celebrate their 50th anniversary. We did allow, prior to this policy, the Verner Beautification Committee to install brackets and banners in Verner along Principal. those banners have been up, well, since IPM. The reason that clause was put in the policy is municipal branding. Is basically if whether you go from community to community within our municipality, branding should be consistent. So now if council, and it's council's prerogative to do so, but if we start allowing different groups, different organizations for different causes, and then we kind of just interchange these highway banners, because most are on highway or very busy roads, then it takes away from branding. So if council wishes to allow that, then again, I would suggest that request to fly banners on hydro or light poles should come to council and be discussed on a case-by-case basis.
Sounds like a great suggestion that goes in line with our flag poles and brackets, so. By a show of hands, would that be acceptable with Conseil or Conseil Saint-Louis? Do you have something to say to that?
Yeah, sorry, through you. I did have a conversation actually with Mr. Poulin in the past about this. So if it was to come to council, Mr. Poulin, does that mean it would not have to go through hydro anymore or whatnot?
Oh, no, we still have to request permission to put brackets and banners on light poles that
Okay.
are not ours.
Okay.
We have obtained those through Hydro One and Burner at the time of the IPM. We also have the authority to put brackets on our lamp poles along Front Street, and the light poles on King are ours. But if we're gonna do some on 64 in Leving or on 64 in Field or on the main road in River Valley, if the light poles are not ours, we certainly need to fill out paperwork and request permission.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So yeah, by a show of hands, would be in agreement with the banner wording changing as Mr. Poulin mentioned. Yeah, okay, so that's approved. Was there another section in the policy you thought should be visited at this point?
Not at this time.
Thank you. And Madam Mayor, I saw you had your hand up. One more.
No, that was
That was the one. Okay, so that ends our flag policy view for now. And we'll move forward to pickleball availability that was brought forward by Conseil Président. I'll pass the floor over to Conseil Président who'd like to discuss his agenda request.
Thank you, Monsieur Rivard. C'est juste, je vais emmener ça sur le propos. On dirait qu'il y a tout le temps un petit peu de bucking heads avec le staff puis l'organisation des pickleball. On dirait que ça dure depuis quelques années. L'an passé, au tennis court, à un moment donné, vous avez barré l'accès avec une barrière de fer avec des chaînes et des cadenas parce que c'était pas safe si l'ambulance ne peut pas y aller. On a des gens, des voisins qui donnaient accès au tube de passer dans leur cours pour se rendre là. Il me semble que c'est pas pire que quelqu'un qui s'en va hiker dans le toit, il se fait mal. Tu peux pas te rendre là avec l'ambulance. Moi, j'ai trouvé ça extrême un peu. Si on va, j'ai été reviré même après-midi au bout de la Népissing en rentrant au plan d'eau. Il y a une barrière là. Puis je m'étais informé des voisins qui sont là. Puis oui, il y avait déjà un parking lot. C'est du terrain solide. On aurait pu rouvrir cette barrière-là dans le temps que la construction se faisait sur la route. Il me semble qu'il y avait des moyens de s'arranger sans mettre une grosse barrière de fer avec des chaînes et des cadenas. Là. Moi, j'ai trouvé ça, là, en tout cas, j'ai dit, ça passe. Là, cette année, on était à Verner, on jouait, et je me faisais dire, ouais, vous pouvez, là, on va arrêter de faire le programme à travers la municipalité. Là, vous pouvez louer tant que vous voulez. Là, on arrive, on a loué. Ah, ben là, on va réviser, il faut réviser notre affaire d'assurance. puis le toit il coule aussi un peu, vous ne pouvez pas commencer avant le mois de mai. Comme on dirait tout le temps qu'il y a un petit quelque chose là. Puis l'assurance, ça fait longtemps qu'on le savait. On dit OK, je vais m'arranger, je vais la prendre, l'assurance. Mais le toit, il coule. Mais le toit, ça fait 12 ans qu'il coule. Si vous voulez, je peux y aller le réparer, moi, le vent. C'est le vent qui coule. Ça fait 12 ans que ça coule. Y a-t-il quelqu'un qui va aller le checker? Il y a de l'insulation, là, ça va-tu pourrir? C'est comme, à un moment donné, là, je sais pas, je dis, il y a des affaires, il faut que je change, là, me semble, là. Là, je comprends un petit peu plus pour que c'est que le club comprend, ça va ces deux bords, là. Il y en a des fois qui ont des petites idées farouches, là. Mais pour commencer, tant qu'à moi, il être plus un petit peu positif que tout le temps sur le bord négatif. Tu sais, non, on ne peut pas faire ça. Pourquoi pas essayer de trouver une solution que oui, peut-être qu'on peut le faire si on fait ça. Tu sais? C'est. En tout cas, en fin du compte, je remercie M. Pilon parce que là, on n'a pas été obligé de commencer au mois de mai, on a commencé un matin. So, merci M. Pilon d'avoir une initiative. Et je vais laisser ça là.
Merci, Conseil Perrin. I saw it a bit, maybe. Did you catch it?
No.
No? I was trying to write down as much as I could. I'll try to translate it. Let me know if I missed it. So it started off with Conseil Perrin brought up how last year the tennis court was locked during construction of King Street while it wrapped around to Main because an ambulance could access, as was told, and then there was provided access through one of the pickleball members' properties to access the tennis court.
No, just the neighbor.
Yeah.
Just the neighbor general.
In person. And then, but it was locked with these locks. And then there was an access. I'll see if I believe that there was an access on Nipissing that could have been used. You mentioned that. And then we went into Werner Hall. Can be used and it would be rented. But I guess the group went to request to use the Werner Hall. And at that point was told that the roof was leaking. Conseil Perrin, I'd say I don't think we want you up on a roof fixing a leak there, but Conseil Perrin then mentioned a roof leak that he could fix. And then that it's been 12 years. And now they're using the hall, correct? That's it.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's. So I'll open up the floor to any questions, comments, or any comments from staff.
No, not really. I just want to put it on record that I'm very concerned that after we shut down a municipal site, a public site, due to safety reasons, that some in our community feel it's okay to access our site illegally. So that's just a concern to me. I'll put it on the record.
Yeah, and if I may, thank you for your comments, thanking me, but really, I have to pass it along to Monsieur Poulet and his team for putting that together on very short notice and really clarifying those issues. I think really there's been some gross misunderstandings about how the process works, and I know, je comprends que à cette heure, t'as plus de connaissances, plus de qu'est-ce qui se passe, puis le procès. Avec l'assurance puis tout ça. Je suis content que ça s'est déroulé comme ça. We certainly continue to commit to providing the best service that we can when it comes to the public that wants to engage in pickleball activities for us, the municipality. But again, sometimes there are some challenges and some barriers. But again, I think in good faith, we have been cooperating and doing our best to accommodate the group. And again, there had been some back and forth and some difficulties with different associations wanting different things, but I think we do have a much better understanding of things. It's my understanding again that activities have resumed at Verner Arena. And we're happy to see that, and we're happy to continue to support in any way that we can, as long as we are aware, we know what we know. So we don't know what we don't know, so I'm happy to continue to have those conversations with the pickleball group as Mr. May and his team are as well. So long as we do have, staff capacity, and that, we are not setting apart the pickleball group from any other group that wants to engage in activity in our facilities. So just to clarify that too, so appreciate that.
Yeah, I would just like to say right on that they can play pickleball earlier than May as of right now, but I was just, the one question for me would be, I know we're redoing that chunk of Ethel now from Maine to Nipissing is this year, I believe. Would there be further closures this season? It's something that maybe we could relay to the group beforehand if we do expect that facility will be closed again. It's tough to.
We've discussed it internally. We're waiting for the contractor to give us timelines and how they're gonna set up their equipment and sites. So we're having these discussions internally. And we will advise not only the pickleball group, but all the groups that utilize that site, beach volleyball, and the public that attend beach of what's going to happen coming forward.
Great. Thank you. That's great. And yeah, I guess I echo your comments. Yeah, it'd be nice if the public don't enter a site that's publicly closed by staff as well. The municipality. Monsieur Pellerin.
Juste savoir pour une confirmation, est-ce qu'on va arranger le leak à l'Arena
We'll definitely have a look at it.
this year?
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Pellerin. We are at 8. Do we take a break? Okay, that's what you feel.
You can take a mover in a second.
Movement seconder for a break. Councilor Larrabee and Councilor Nickel.
It is moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Nickel. At 8:02 PM, a motion was made for a 10-minute recess.
All in favor? Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue on, and Councillor Rivard has the chair with Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'll actually pass it to agenda requests by yourself regarding soccer fields on Demers.
Yeah, so I think last year, maybe the year before too, we've had discussions in regards to some parking issues in that area. And I just thought this might be an idea to kind of get in front of it before it becomes an issue, before the soccer folks appear for their season. So in the past, we've received feedback from residents in the area, and that's not just the ones fronting onto the park, but anybody kind of accessing down that during the use of the soccer fields. The cars are parked on both sides of the road. Sometimes they're pulled into the park. And that the access route is very narrow, and with all the kids running around, poses some safety concerns for participants as well. There is a parking lot that's associated with the soccer fields off Riverfront Drive that when I've driven by seems to be sparsely used. We'll say. And so I just kind of wanted to bring this back to council to see if there's a way that we can address some of the congestion and parking issues in this area prior to the season starting. I don't know whether staff has anything to kind of add on that, because it has been an ongoing issue for a couple of years, I would say.
If I may, Mr. Chair, we did discuss this internally, and we're looking at two options. One would be angled parking along Demers Street from 3rd to Riverfront. We would recommend putting no parking signs on Riverfront. And then we're looking at, if you look across off Riverfront, that cleared area, we would need to basically clear a larger section and put proper foundation for parking area to increase parking sufficiently to accommodate soccer and ongoing activities at that site. So if you look along Demers, there could be significant angled parking. It's just that the base is not conducive to parking right now. It gets very muddy. And we'd have to work on drainage and proper material and base for parking. And the same goes with that parking off Riverfront, is clearing a huge section and having it converted into parking space.
May I ask what the kind of condition inside that parking area is right now? Is there some gravel base down there? It just really hasn't been added to in a while?
Yeah, that's correct. There's a fairly good base there for that small section that exists right now. So it would be just to make that area larger and to accommodate more vehicles. We're looking at potentially getting some costing to be able to get that done this year through our operations, but the more we look at it, if you look at proper drainage, proper parking foundation, and obviously clearing of a large section, it might be a big project, a more costly project than originally anticipated. But I do concur with the parking issues there. There are several soccer games happening at the same time. And it seems to have increased a lot more because all of the soccer is concentrated on this site. I remember several years ago, they also used to have the smaller soccer field in Legislative Park. And they also, I remember at one point, the smaller kids used to play at Goulart Park as well. But now everything seems to be concentrated in one area, so that hence more traffic and more parking issues.
Because the Richelieu Park is actually better laid out as far as having appropriate parking in that area. And same with Goulart Park, like we actually have parking there. Has
has our emergency services ever taken a drive down there as far as assessing whether the parking on both sides of the road at this time is impacting, would impact access? Because it's pretty congested there on soccer nights.
That's why maybe a recommendation would be to prevent parking along riverfront from Demers to the end of the property where the soccer parking start. That would alleviate some of the concerns, and if we can get enough room and get a good base down on Demers Street to have angled parking, at least we could accommodate a good number of vehicles there.
Okay, and approximately how many spaces for parking would currently exist inside that small parking lot?
I'd be
Like, is it a single row, like 10 cars or?
more than 10 cars, but I'd be guessing if I'd give you a number, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I, and,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, I would just like to add, like, it is true what Mr. Play mentioned about all games are at once. So everyone's there. It used to never be like that. Like, even when I was younger, there was just 2 fields. So you'd max have 20, 25 cars in that area. It is a problem, you know, because there's 3 fields on one side, 2 fields on the other. You could just imagine that's, you're looking at least 20 cars per field. There's 5 or 6 fields. It gets pretty hectic in that area. I've walked there and it is very tight. And that parking lot doesn't have very much room. And then there's also everyone's mail. Those mass mailing boxes are in the parking lot, taking away some valuable space as well. And then you have that little path that accesses the field. To me, the only real solution would be to clear more towards the field and level it out more, but depending on costing, is it even possible? I think we need to work with that group as well to try and reach out to the parents and tell them to be more aware of where they're parking or carpooling.
Yeah, and that little trail that goes across a drainage ditch is problematic to us because some people will drive right onto and they get real close to where the players sit or players play. From a risk management standpoint, it's concerning to us. We looked at putting boulders there to prevent it from going through. So we will definitely have to look at mitigating the risk to our residents and our users. We could potentially have a discussion with the soccer association to see if they can reduce the amount of games happening at once and maybe spread out their schedule a bit more so that there's not a massive influx of people all going to the soccer field at the same time. Those discussions potentially could be had in the next week or so.
I mean, you know.
Sorry, Conseil Saint-Louis.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. Also, to touch on the parking off Demers, unfortunately, all you need is 1 or 2 individual that don't know how to park, and they take away a bunch of parking spots for individuals, right? I would like to see, basically, at the end of the day, soccer is a growing sport here in Canada, and we're seeing more and more. And I would like to see a costing on removing the bush line that is between that little trail where you go park up to Demers, and to see how much it would cost. You eliminate that portion of the bush line and create a parking of, and not even asphalt, just gravel. You're creating a lot of parking spots. I'd be interested to find out how much the cost of doing that. And I think that would alleviate the rest on the parking period on Demers. And like Mr. Poulet said, just we need to put boulders and they won't be able to park there, right?
I'll see Saint-Louis. That was kind of my idea as well, but anyone else have? Councillor Nicol?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I think we should maybe talk to the association and ask if they can stagger games. Because 2 years ago, one day it was Riverfront and then Elaine Park was the next. I'm not sure what that park is called technically, but that was a nice spread because last year, I concur, it was carrying the car seat, trying to get in there, and it was chaos. So go to soccer because of the parking. And I know a few other people felt the same. So maybe if they staggered it, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, and it's Richelieu Park.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Have you haven't had any discussions with the association for this coming year?
As far as scheduling and whatnot, no, we have not.
Okay, and do they need to book the facilities through you guys? So we're gonna be here this day or here this day?
Yeah, they provide us with a schedule, yeah.
So perhaps staff can look at in discussions with them, either trying to get them to spread the games over several locations. Yeah, I mean, long term, I mean, it's a great open space park for that, but right now we're just challenged on being able to offer safe, efficient parking, so. I'm with Councillor Rivard. I'd like to see a costing to actually make that area into a parking lot that is more will actually like fill the need there and be able to do no parking on the park side of Riverfront.
So you mean just to clarify, if I may, want to see a costing to add parking along Riverfront?
No, in that, like, to expand the parking lot.
So the parking lot kind of
Offer.
have the little trail going to the fields.
Yeah,
That-
that's off Riverfront.
With the trail, if that was just all
Okay.
parking, then like
Yeah.
a row of boulders maybe, so nobody can go through. I think that's what Constantine Saint Louis, I see him nodding there. Yeah. So by a show of hands,
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, so all that area is bush right now, so if we remove the bush, then hopefully, just to get the thought, an idea.
yeah, so who would be in favor of requesting that staff come back with some numbers for something like that?
Yep.
Okay. Just one thing that I wanted to mention about the staggering of games. I'm not on that group and on that committee anymore, the board of directors, but I used to be, and I know the biggest issue was volunteers, right? You had parents who coached two different age groups, and it was the one team. Because one kid was at Richelieu and the other kid was at sewage treatment plant fields, or you had refs as well. They had issues. This way they could have a ref kind of, bouncing back and forth. So it really helped them in terms of volunteers. I know that was the case why they tried to centralize it. So I would just make sure that we're also trying to respect these volunteers who are working hard to try and offer this service, but I do understand that it's difficult, right? So let's hope that the costing comes back at a reasonable price, I feel, and then those two birds with one stone. Would anyone else have any more comments regarding that? No, so I'll pass it back to Madam Mayor as Community Services.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to environmental services, and I'll pass the floor to Councillor Nicol, the chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is a memo regarding solid waste rates, and it's aimed at addressing inconsistencies in how some properties are currently built. I will pass it right along to see if he can add anything else to his memo.
Yeah, as you can see, thank you, Madam Chair. As you can see from the memo, there were some vast inconsistencies with solid waste fees for multi-residential properties. And, we're just looking at, just to give you some information with respect to those fees being adjusted to be more consistent and fair across the board. And certainly to get some direction as well with regards to some of the tax exempt group homes. And I will pass it back to Ms. Craddock for any further clarification or questions should the Madam Chair, should you direct so.
Yeah, I think you've all said it wonderfully already. It is just a matter of inconsistency. And I'm not sure how it evolved over the history, but when we were working our way through the transition with recycling and the transition with everything and doing some analysis with WNES, we found that we have this issue, and the multi-res ones are really ones that are under municipal direction first because they are ones that we have within our rate schedule, within our solid waste rate schedule. So and we have a number of multi-res that are paying according to that rate schedule already. And so it is just sort of a bit of fairness to bring everybody in line. The tax exempt situation is where there are certain types of group homes that are actually tax exempt under the Municipal Act. And in that case, we have a couple that actually have been paying solid waste charges and only solid waste charges. So because we don't have solid waste as part of our tax, it is an additional rate, not part of the tax levy, so that they wouldn't necessarily be exempt to it. And like I said, we were inconsistent in that some of those organizations are paying the solid waste charge. Some of the difficulty with that is that the group homes might be individual self-contained units, which then look a lot like a multi-res kind of operation, or they might just be a group home where it is that group living, and there may be 4 residents, there may be 12 residents, and so we'll have to do a little bit of what does this actually look like, what would this translate in a multi-res home if we're going to go down that route on doing a translation between the group homes with the tax exempt class as well. But really I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair, for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilor Pellerin?
Madam Chair. The group homes you're talking about community living West Nipissing?
There's a number of different organizations, actually.
What?
There's a few different organizations that operate group homes in the area.
Because I can tell you, like, the group homes have a maximum of seven residents under community living. That's the max. Just to. Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Councilor Stool?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be supportive of getting everybody under the current bylaw. It seems like their services, according to the memo, are provided by the same organization anyways, West Nipissing Environmental Services, so wouldn't really change their service level. It would just be getting them in, lined up with where they should be in terms of the fees associated and having consistency across the municipality. And if I'm not mistaken, it sounded like staff indicated that they do a bit more research on the tax exempt group homes to come back with some more info for us to further discuss. But for myself, I think the first part, it just makes sense to apply the bylaw across the board for everyone and get everybody lined up in the same process. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Larrabee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in agreement with Councilor Wistful on this. We should all be on the same level, same playing field. So with more info on this, then we can make a sound decision. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. The current multi-residential, will there be communication with those property owners, just letting them know that we're looking at, make sure that people are informed of, we're looking at changes, and have some kind of communication go out, so it's not kind of sudden, and they have an opportunity to kind of take a look at what's being proposed.
Absolutely, we would do communication with those that are going to see the change from one to the other. Yeah.
Okay, and there are only certain multi-residential property owners that are being billed by WNES, and some are already being billed by the municipality.
Correct.
Okay, and the rates that are being charged through the municipality are set through the bylaw referenced?
Yes.
Okay. And so we'd be looking to get everybody under that bylaw and under that same policy.
Correct.
Now, as we look forward to changes with the official plan and the allowance of more additional residential units, how do we bill for, say a property that has either 2 or 3 residential units under one civic address?
So the first, there's a rate for, you know, the original or the first house. And then whether it's an apartment in the house or whether it will be an additional dwelling unit, there's an additional, right now, they act the same. So it's just sort of an additional unit, which is half. I think no, it's not half, sorry. But there is a lower rate for all the subsequent units that are on there, yes.
Okay, and we track that through building permits when we have building permits come in to create new additional residential units. How accurate would you say are our current assessment of properties where there are more than one dwelling unit?
Well, in the urban core, as we rolled through to the new bins, we discovered a lot of apartments that people had that we weren't aware of, you know, so because the contractor would drop one bin and then they would call the contractor and say, well, I've actually got 2 apartments or whatever. And so the contractor would check with us to see what we do. And, you know, we would then, in some cases, send out our building official to confirm whether there were additional apartments in the building, whether they had been legally constructed apartments. And then we add the water and the solid waste charges to the property. We picked them up. We picked up a number of properties as we went through the blue box transition. Other than that, yeah, I mean, if you went and you put an apartment in your basement and you didn't do a building permit and you didn't do any of that stuff, or you put it in 30 years ago, you know, it is a little bit, but I think we did get a lot cleaned up again through this transition period. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that those were also being accounted for as far as just actually charges to residents. Thank you.
Councillor Pellerin?
Follow up on this. What's the rationale of having it cheaper for the second and third?
That's a good question. You know, you generate as much garbage, but again, it's how the bylaw has been structured for, you know, as long as I've been here kind of thing. We do the same with our water rates because we're not metered. You know, the first unit is full, the secondary units are lesser. I don't know if there's an assumption that if you're living in an apartment like that perhaps you're not a family, or perhaps there's less, or perhaps that's what it is. But yeah, it is a lesser rate for both the water and sewer and the solid waste rates for the secondary units.
Any other questions or comments? So at this time, who would be in favor of moving forward with staff getting more information and bringing it back to us?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Is that
Is
enough
that the
information?
direction that you're looking for?
If I can clarify, certainly we'll bring back some stuff on the group homes. Is there more information about the multi-res that council would like, or you kind of are okay with the multi-res and we just want to take a look at the group home situation?
Ask a question. Is the way that multi-res properties are charged defined well in that bylaw? Like, does the
Yes.
bylaw suit the purpose?
Yeah.
So it's easy for you to take the WNES built properties and just convert them to the appropriate charge?
Yes.
And do we expect that will mean an increase in charge on some or all of those properties?
So last night WNES approved rate increases for itself. Compared to the WNES new rate increases, most of the folks, most of the multi-res are going to be in the same ballpark. There's a few people who are going to save. There are a couple locations that are going to see a significant increase.
And that will be communicated with
Yeah.
And that's all based on a consistent application
Yeah.
policy. Thank you.
Any direction, Ms. Craddock? Any additional direction?
So it's just more on the group homes that council's looking for, or yeah, okay. Yep, no, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. And a final item in the committee of the whole is emergency measures and public safety committee update. And I'll pass the floor to our chair, Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I guess tonight, we have one item is on 5.51 spring flooding update. So I guess we're gonna tag team on this. I'll pass the floor to our CAO, Mr. Pial.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You are correct. We will tag team on this. There's information, I think, from a few seats in the room here. I can just start by giving just a high level overview of, obviously, you're aware that late last week, conditions started to really significantly escalate right across, I will say, the northern part of our municipality. In other sort of areas where there's pockets of, I will say, lowlands and floodplains. We did get a significant amount, or started to get a significant amount of precipitation again on Saturday. Our CMC, Chief Lufin, called an ECG meeting. So the emergency control group met here on Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon rather, to discuss the plan moving forward. There was a decisions were made at that time based on all the recommendations from staff, forecasting, Mr. Corello's sort of river report, and the escalation of water levels across the watershed within Nipissing area, that we were in a position, I think, to cautiously call a state of emergency. Just so that we could potentially access some provincial funding and other assistance as needed based on what may occur. And we continued, obviously, to have some discussion with regards to providing some services to residents in the form of dropping off piles of sand. We had prepared a little bit on Friday before we broke for the weekend to have a bit of a plan together if things escalated. They did. So we actioned that plan with regards to the sand piles. We had some further discussion with regards to sandbags and how we would approach that, given that our initial direction was that we were not going to be providing sandbags, but encouraging residents in those low-lying areas to start to prepare and purchase sandbags on their own. Decision was made that we would start to make sandbags available on an urgent need. And Chief, as well as the Director of Infrastructure, put everybody on high alert. So our Public Works employees and all of our emergency services employees really contributed quite significantly over the weekend, commencing on Saturday afternoon, obviously sort of enacting the plan. And at that time, we also made decision to order a very large stock of sandbags just based on the advice from Mr. Corello. Things trending really basically to look to mirror what happened in 2019 with the levels of the increasing levels across the board. So that decision was made. And again, our personnel were on patrol throughout the weekend, continued to be on patrol early this week as well. We are seeing a little bit of a tightening of things with regards to the weather sort of being a little bit cooler during the evening. No real precipitation occurring and cooler weather also during the day. We're still continuing to see some snow melt, but again, we have been distributing Mr. Corello's river report. We have been obviously providing updates on our social media and on our internal and on our municipal website for the public to give them information on both all of the road closures, caution information with regards to flooded roadways and how not to approach. We did have to close Highway 64 in all directions, basically to, I will say, large commercial truck traffic, but we remain open for local traffic, and that was clarified. Thank you very much for some of your calls with respect to some of the issues that the local residents were having with having some fear of crossing a closed road and being charged by the OPP. But either way, things, I will say, as of today, have improved somewhat. I took the time to go around and do a little bit of a northern tour, a northern tour today, to just have a kind of a quick glance at several areas where we'd had some complaints about, I will say, about road flooding and some service requests with regards to specific issues. I can say that our public works staff have been working very hard and have done a fantastic job in building some roads up, allowing all those accesses. When I see Garo Road down in that area, when I see down in the Kipling area as well, where they've really sort of mitigated a lot of those issues. And I even saw a grader out on Kipling East today, and the Kipling East was basically a highway, so whoever that grader operator was, please pass along my thanks. He was doing a fantastic job. And again, from a perspective of how we're offering services to the residents, it's sort of changed in that direction, and we continue to monitor the situation. Optimistically, we think that things are kind of stable right now, but realistically, we know that there's quite a bit of snowpack still up north, and a lot of water, a lot more coming through the area that will necessarily have to come through, just based on the historical piece on our watershed. Temagami has been holding, Ontario Hydro's been holding water in the Temagami watershed to kind of mitigate the water levels on the Sturgeon River or Vev, right across sort of Lake Nipissing. So it continues to be challenging, and I think we're not out of the woods yet. I think in the foreseeable next few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we're going to continue to see some water levels rising, and the necessity for the watershed to proceed through our system. So how that's going to flesh out, we're not too sure, but we are monitoring on a daily basis and mitigating any issues that we may have. So I thought I'd be really short and sweet on that, but I will pass that along to the chief and then to Miss Henning for any further comments, and I'll go from there.
So through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for a good synopsis of what we've been dealing with since basically Friday night. Again, as our CAO has mentioned, we called the control group together Saturday just after lunch and had a meeting to figure out if we were at that stage to declare the emergency. The mayor is the only one, or her designate is the one that has to declare the emergency based on our reports from Public Works, from what I was seeing on our emergency services side. And then the general public's that comms was picking up off the social media. Anyway, it was decided that we would best declare an emergency. Also knowing our partners to the south of us, French River, already having been in a declared emergency. And we provided the paperwork. This way, we also are tracking hours of our volunteers, of our staff that is being put in since, again, I'll say Friday night. Any equipment, materials that are being purchased, so that can be all populated to be able to, if we meet the threshold for the provincial government, then be able to apply for any reimbursement, as limited as it will be in our treasurer. We'll be able to give you folks further details on that part of it. On my side of it, again, as our CAO has mentioned, between both groups, and we've been patrolling pretty much the whole north end of the municipality, checking, doing some wellness checks on residents that we know in problem areas. My crew in field has done an excellent job at coordinating to protect a couple places and do the wellness checks. We were lucky 575 remained open, so we were able to get back and forth. My district chief up there, we opted to move the equipment out of the field fire hall. One vehicle was put in the Public Works garage through coordination with Public Works up on top of the hill, and the other one is the district chief's that's parked at his house in his driveway right now, just to get it on the south side of the water issue on Highway 64. Saturday, we coordinated with the Werner Hall and the district chief and a couple of my volunteers over there to distribute sandbags. At the time, for the limited supply that we had, Public Works was able to find another box or partial box, drop that off Saturday morning. So we distributed what we had over at Werner. I took some of the sandbags from there to bring up to field because we only had 400, I think it was 600 up in field on the initial. So distributed some extra bags through the two locations. the last 2 days, we've had residents coming here because Lake Nipissing again is starting to rise. On average, it's rising anywhere from 6 to 8 centimeters daily. That's the offset of trying to open up the dams to be able to bring the water down to alleviate some of the pressure on the north side. As mentioned from our CAO, the Temagami has been holding back through all their reservoirs up in that area to give us a chance to try and catch up. Mother Nature is cooperating right now, but the weekend forecast potentially could change all that. As mentioned, we're not out of the woods. This, I'm going to say, is perhaps the calm before the storm. I'm hoping it's just the calm and it's just going to stay at that level. But again, as I said, the lake is at its capacity. Lake Nipissing is at its capacity or very close to it, and is just shy of hitting damage levels, depending on what the forecast in the long range is going to produce for us, or if the north starts having to dump out their lakes to because of the snow melt and ice melts. And at this point, I'll pass it to Ms. Henning on her side for an update on the public works activities over the last couple of days.
Thank you, Chief.
So Public Works is continuing to monitor roads, find catch basins as needed. At this point, I think most of the catch basins are thawed, but obviously monitoring for, any issues there with stormwater in our systems. And I think that the chief gave us all a very good summary, so I won't give you too much more, but I would just like to say a huge thank you to our crews, who I think we're really looking forward to getting a little bit of a reprieve from all the overtime and have been pulled right back into it. We went from snow to now flooding, so just a huge thanks to our crews who have been working extremely hard through all of this, and I think they're doing a really good job of keeping those roads staked and open where they can, and we're doing our best to give people the ability to access their homes, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you.
May I?
Is there any?
We're not sure how many sandbags we've actually distributed. Maybe if we've got enough, Chief.
I don't know if our treasurer has anything to add to this. Will you give me a few minutes to calculate some numbers here for you?
Well, I would like to thank each department for the great work you're doing and putting the word out. People are not guessing. They know the exact figures. The water's going up. It's out there. So I would like to personally thank you for doing that. You guys are doing a great job. And it's good. Decided to give sandbags. This is what we used to do before, and it's really nice. People are having a hard time. And also the municipality has the buying power. Instead of just one person buying 100 or 200, they will pay quite a bit for the bag. We buy thousands at a time, so it gives it gives people a break. I guess I'll open the floor for comments or questions.
Sorry, I'd just like to add, as part of the emergency control group, I do want to acknowledge the fact that, our staff was in and working hard all weekend, coming up, with these plans. CAO and I were in, fairly regular communication, over Saturday and Sunday. And I do want to put the highlight on what Ms. Henning had to say, in that our crews have been working extraordinarily hard in both the monitoring, fixing where they can, and we already have all of our regular spring operations going on at the same time. So there's a lot of competing priorities, and limited people, limited amount of vehicles and stuff. So sometimes we're having to pull people off one job to go do something that's a little bit more important. So I just want to thank all of our senior staff, including our communications team. Councillor Nicola and I were like Foxy Twins this weekend, speaking on a very regular basis. And I'd like to just acknowledge her work in working with the residents of Fields and communicating some of the problem areas. I know both Caitlin and her husband were out helping where they could as well. And I just want to acknowledge that Caitlin was very active and participated in our emergency control group meetings to make sure that we had our eyes on what was going on in Field from the residents' perspective. So just thank you to staff, and I'll pass it to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor.
I have a number for you on how many bags.
You got, okay.
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Chair, currently, as of this afternoon, we've distributed roughly 1,225 sandbags. And just for perspective for everybody, the fact that the Lake Nipissing is raising 6 to 8 centimeters per day, if you figure out the vast size of that lake, you can just imagine how much water it takes to bring it up that 8 centimeters daily.
And just a little update on north of the municipality on the 805. The grader's still got a hard time pushing the snowbanks back. It's still on the road, so there's a lot of water yet to come. Hopefully it melts easy, so give everyone a breathing chance. Conseiller Farrin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also would like to thank everyone involved in this effort. The work that staff do in this regard is really, really important and valuable to the community. I'm glad that we were able to provide sandbags. You know, I think you all know I've been advocating that we should provide sandbags as a matter of policy ever since I became a councillor. But I think it's something that I'd like to bring to the agenda at some point in the future. I don't think it's the right time now to be discussing policy until this emergency is passed. I just have a couple of questions. In practical terms, what do we actually achieve by declaring a state of emergency, and how does it help us in managing a flooding event like this? And with regards to the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program, do we anticipate that the extent of the infrastructure damage and, you know, all the related operating costs, will they reach the 3% threshold of taxation? And can you tell us what that threshold is? Through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good question.
I can answer the financial part of things, and a little bit the other part of your question as well. You used to have to declare the state of emergency in order to access those funds. You actually don't have to declare the state of emergency to access those funds any longer. So as soon as we started to have a lot of infrastructure damage, we were meeting early, and everyone we decided we would track expenses in case we hit that threshold. Declaring the state of emergency once we got to that point indicates that we may have difficulties in actually hitting emergency response or hitting minimum maintenance standards and all those kinds of things. From a financial point of view, then the number we need to hit is 711,000, 713,000. It's in that ballpark. It's a high bar. In 2019, we actually didn't meet the threshold in order to recover costs on that. Do I think we're going to get there? You know, if it proceeds where we don't run into anything more troubling than what we have right now with, you know, some washed out roads and some needing to build up granular, nope, we were not going to hit that threshold. If we lose the docks at Minnehaha, lose a bridge, have a major culvert blow, we could hit it really easily. You know, so I'm, you know, as everyone else has said, you know, we're hoping that things will calm, and that though we all are aware there's more coming, that it will come in a more reasonable pace. But yeah, I you know, and that we don't hit that threshold, but yeah, the threshold's in the 713,000 mark.
Yeah, and thank you.
To you, Mr. Chair. So the second part, the declaration purpose, this provides, as Ms. Craddock has mentioned, if our resources are depleted, exceeded, this now provides us opportunity to request assistance through the province. So by declaring the emergency, this activates the Provincial Emergency Operations Center. I've been on the phone and emails with the Operations Center since declaring Saturday afternoon. And they check almost daily to make sure that, do we require any further assistance? Is there stuff that we need help with? So by declaring that emergency, it activates the provincial level as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Conseiller Perrin.
Yes, that was my question that Mr. Ferrin hit on. So you don't need to declare an emergency to be able to access the funds.
Right.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because the last time that we did was in 2019. And I've heard from a few people that their insurance went sky high. And I talked to the insurance people, and they say, yes, if you declare a state of emergency in your municipality, it triggers something, and you now fall into like in the States, there's always these are again still
high risk.
High risk. So some people have fallen in that category right now. So you have to argue with insurance. Yeah, okay, it's West Nipissing, but the flooding wasn't at my place. So you have to prove to them. So that's the scary part of declaring an emergency if you don't absolutely have to. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yes.
I can just offer though, there are two different municipal levels. So the municipality declaring an emergency and accessing municipal disaster relief funds is a different level than the province will come in and assess and establish the whole area so that residents can access it. And so they will actually look at areas and say that this area is eligible for disaster relief. And so the province overlay would probably impacts the homeowners more than the municipal declaration did. And in 2019, so the French River, not our entire municipality, but the area down around French River had that overlay put on from the province. But yeah, insurance was impacted by a number of places after 2019 in flooding, because it was the second successive year where there were mass floods in the Ottawa area, Pembroke, that kind of stuff, where they saw millions of dollars of damage, and the insurance industry tightened up. Even our insurance, that's when our insurance started to do those big hikes, because the entire insurance industry contracted, and not from declaring municipal emergencies, but from paying out huge losses. And so that's what drove a lot of that contraction. So if you're an area that has flooded before, they look at the history of the flooding less than the municipal declaration.
Thank you. Councillor Nicole.
For you, Mr. Chair. You beat me to it, Madam Mayor. First, I want to thank all staff for your assistance over the last few days, answering my endless questions and concerns. But on behalf of some residents in Field, they would like to have me read something to our mayor. Many residents in Field would like to have me thank our mayor for her steady leadership and hands-on support throughout this weekend's situation. Your responsiveness and commitment to our community made a real difference during a challenging time, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's truly appreciated. So thank you.
It's nice. With that being said, again, any more comments? Everybody's okay?
Sorry, I have one more thing, if you guys don't mind.
I would just like to also acknowledge Chief. I know both Chief and I have been in touch with our counterparts in the French River, and right now the municipality of French River is dealing with some very severe impacts, including having to evacuate some residents from their homes. They have had to access some of the support through the Provincial Operations Center, and I just want to note that the cooperation that we have with our neighbor is very helpful on both sides, and I know that Madame Pajot, Madame Marin in French River appreciates our support, and we know that it's a two-way street. So I just want to give a shout out to the residents and all the staff in French River who are right now dealing with a far more serious situation than we are. And so, you know, it is something that's felt regionally, and that sense of cooperation between different entities is really important in times like these as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now we're in a situation where there is an emergency, but I remember in 1979 when we had the 100-year flood, and now we see that now a flood is not as devastating as it was back then, because people didn't know where the water was, you know, how high it was, right, and houses were flooded. So now, with the incentive of the provincial government, they moved the houses away, like in Field, moved the houses up on top of a hill. So it's less impacting our citizen, which there's still some being impacted by it. So again, I would like to thank the Pat and the mayor and everybody involved in taking care of our citizen. I get a lot of calls myself from people from Lac Caché and Kipling. They have concern, but they've realized that the municipality is doing the best they can in this situation by providing sandbags. They're asking when is the road, like Goro Road, going to be lifted? Every year it's underwater, but that's a subject for our budget. With that, if there's nothing else, I'll pass that back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the regular portion of our meeting, starting with 6.1, our consent.
It is moved by Councillor Nicoll and seconded by Councillor Paladin. Be it resolved that the consent agenda for the Council and Committee of the whole meeting held on April the 21st, 2026 be approved as presented.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Planning.
It is moved by Councillor Paladin and seconded by Councillor Nicoll. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-29 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-45 to rezone certain lands located at 12 Goulard Road from rural RU to rural residential RR on lots 1 to 3 and from rural to rural residential exception zone 8 on lots 4 to 6 shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Art. I need you guys to raise your hands.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. Okay, thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Nicoll and seconded by Councillor Paladin. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-30 being a bylaw of the municipality of West Nipissing to grant draft approval to a plan of subdivision with Johnny Bork for file number SUBD 2026-01 shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Thank you. Carrie? Okay, the next item in your agenda is just a piece of correspondence from Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in regards to some changes in legislation. It's just provided for your information only. Next, we'll move on to 6.4, or sorry, any questions or comments on the correspondence? Thank you. 6.4, unfinished business.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Nicoll. Whereas Council has reviewed the proposed discretionary grant fee waiver application from the Old Chateau Home for the Aged, and whereas funding for discretionary grants and fee waivers has been provided for the approved 2026 operating budget, be it resolved that Council approves the discretionary grant fee waiver application made by the Old Chateau Home for the Aged in the amount of $10,000 for community programming.
Okay, we had deferred this item, pending some further information from a previous meeting. I don't know if, CAOP law would like to just, go over that. I believe what had happened is there was some budgeting information provided in regard to the community supports program as a whole. But in further clarification that the request that they're asking for is in regards to the community transportation that they offer for appointments through their busing service. Is that correct?
In essence, Madam Mayor, that is correct. So we did request some additional clarification at the behest of council because of some concerns. And the Ms. Cannell, who's the CEO over at Eau Chateau, basically clarified that it is in fact for continued support for transportation services to seniors and those adults between 18 and 65 with disabilities within the municipality of West Nipissing who face barriers with essential travel, such as medical appointments. So that, as you can see through the updated discretionary request, and she basically details, clarifies a little bit more of the plan with regards to the usage of the $10,000 in the request for the 10.
And I'll just ask a couple of questions as well. This program has been supported in past years through the municipal budgeting process, but in a different way. Could you clarify that, please?
In the Eau Chateau budget, it has included their levy and it has included an additional amount. It used to be 5,000, it moved to 10,000 a few years ago. That was for busing. And so it has been part of the municipal budget for no longer than I've been here. And so it doesn't sit in your discretionary grant fund right now, but there is $10,000 that's sitting in the Eau Chateau budget.
But it was in the Eau Chateau budget, or was it like separately in like economic development?
No,
Services, or where exactly would it sit?
it sits actually in the Eau Chateau budget.
Okay, but we're moving it over to the discretionary grants?
If we're going to, yeah, so this year it's sitting, but it probably is best sat with the discretionary grants going forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, resolutions on the floor, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Nichol and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that council authorizes an exemption of the West Nipissing Municipality's noise bylaw 1999-75 by Volta Metals to permit 24-hour drilling for a period of 30 to 60 days during the period August 2026 to March 2027 at Burnt Lake Road in Sturgeon Falls.
Okay, questions or comments? Councillor Nichol?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Based on our consultation we had with them last week, I understand that they're waiting more test results and they don't have a specific timeline yet. So would it be possible to wait until they have a more concrete timeline? Because I know they've planned further public consultations once they have this information, and it'll have a better perspective on what we can expect.
Okay, so you'd like to make a motion to defer?
Until they get their test results back and have had their second consultation.
Okay, thank you. So that resolution's on the floor. Questions or comments in regards to the deferral, please? Oh, sorry, can I get a seconder on the deferral, please? Councillor St. Louis? Okay, questions or comments on the deferral? Councillor Larrabee?
Thank you. Well, the question would be, I could not see a resident having to endure noise of a drilling program 24/7. That would drive a person insane. I think at this time it's development. They need to abide. To me, they need to abide by the sound that we have, the bylaws, and whenever it becomes crucial, this program, they could buy out the company, the resident, because it's, okay, I know
No,
it's.
on a point of order, it's just
Yeah.
on the deferral, and so if we defer it, Once we had, and Councillor Nichols' request is that once they have their results back and they actually have a clear idea of when their program would start and when it would stop to approve a noise bylaw only once we kind of have a specific framework on dates and length of the program. So just right now, we'll just take questions on that. When it does come back, we can discuss the merits of the request itself. Okay, other questions on the deferral? Okay, so, sorry,
Just
Councillor
add
Nichols.
that they're expecting those results around mid-June.
So we'll defer to the July meeting.
Yes, I mean, I'll, if you don't mind reaching out to, if we could ask staff to reach out to
Yeah,
to
but
the
it,
proponent and, you know, schedule it appropriately to, you know, when they're ready to actually set parameters for the actual request.
if I may just add something for council's consideration.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the company's gonna come back and not be able to provide a drill program length based on the fact they don't know if they can drill 24 hours or not.
Mhm.
The shorter their window on a daily basis, the longer the drill program. So
Well, I
if we
mean,
don't allow
we
the
have
noise,
that information.
but if council doesn't allow the noise exemption, then their program's gonna be much longer, as it was when we stopped them drilling after the complaint was received. So I can certainly reach out to them and see if they can provide a bit more insight on that, but I'm anticipating they're probably gonna say, if we can drill 24 hours a day, we're gonna be out much quicker than if we can't, and then it's gonna prolong their drilling program. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, but could we get like specifics on that where it says if we are allowed to do 24 hours, we expect it to be between 20 and 30 days. And if we don't get the exemption, then we expect it to be between 60 and 90 days. And that way, we at least have kind of like a framework on which to make that decision. That's what you're, yeah. Other questions or comments in relation to the deferral? Okay, all in favor for the you read it? Okay, all in favor of the deferral, please? That is carried. Thank you. East Grant.
It is moved by Councillor Nichol and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that Council for the West Nipissing Municipality hereby authorizes staff to submit an application for the 2026-2027 Enhancing Access to Spaces for Everyone EASE Grant Program for the construction of an accessible ramp and viewing platform at the Verner Arena. And whereas Council supports the proposed project with an estimated cost of $28,000 to improve accessibility and provide barrier-free access to public facilities. And whereas the Director of Economic Development and Community Services or their designate be authorized to execute any documents required to the resolution.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? It's carried.
It is moved by Councillor Nichol and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Whereas requests for tenders were sought for the rehabilitation of Boudreau Street, and whereas 4 tenders were received, and whereas Council concurs with the recommendation, be it resolved that the tender for the rehabilitation of Boudreau be awarded to Kenelix Construction in the amount of $1,204,228 plus HST being the lowest tender specifications.
Questions or comments? Councillor St. Louis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On page 2, there's a section that talks about not meeting the guidelines, and I know that we got clarification and that they do meet the guidelines. My only question is where it states, upon award of the tender, Kenelix will be requested to provide their equipment rates. What if that equipment rate now goes above everybody else there? What happens then? So if they come around and they say their equipment rate is $1 million and now their project is, instead of 1.2, it's 2.2. Do we still move forward with it, or can we?
Ms. Craddock has an answer for your question.
So the equipment rates actually don't impact their tender number at all. So the equipment rates were just supplemental, and they did provide us with equipment rates. So the statement that Spectre made is misleading. They actually did provide equipment rates, but none of this is being awarded based on equipment rates. This is being awarded based on all those various unit rates coming up to a end number. So the equipment rates are just additional information that's included in the package. It doesn't change the award, doesn't change the project value.
It doesn't change the bid.
Nope.
Okay,
No.
then the way it's worded makes it sound different.
It
Awesome,
does,
thank you.
it's misleading, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments, Councillor Pellerin?
Where's that contractor from?
What?
North Bay? Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, resolutions on the floor, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Okay, we have nothing under notice, motion or addendum. Just on my mayor's report, I think really the word of the day is state of emergency. Again, staff have done an excellent job. We still want residents to prepare. We are seeing lake levels rising every day. We're definitely not out of the woods yet. And so I just encourage residents to visit the website, see some of the links on emergency preparedness and make plans accordingly to protect both their property and make arrangements in case there are any areas of the municipality that get hit hard and fast. We are all working hard to keep everybody safe. So with that, I will go to closed meeting.
It is moved by Councillor Picard and seconded by Councillor Nichol. Be it resolved that we proceed into closed meeting as authorized in section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding part of Lot 1, Plan M201, Clark Street on Sandy Island.
All in favor? Carrie, thank you.
For members on Zoom,